So the January school board meeting to order at 7:29, 1 minute early. Please stand for the pledge, presentation of the colors, and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pledge colors.
Ready, two. Right, see?
Ready, march.
Forward, march.
Please join us in a moment of silence as we reflect on those serving in the United States Armed Forces, both past and present, the elected leaders for our state of Pennsylvania, and the elected leaders of our nation. We have much to be thankful for in our community. Thank you. Moves us to Section 3.1, Executive Session Announcements. The Board met in executive session on Monday, December 10th, 2012 at 6 p.m. to discuss personnel matters. Monday, January 14th at 6 p.m. to discuss personnel matters. And Monday, January 28th at 6:30 p.m. to discuss personnel and real estate matters. 4.1, Section 4, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. 4.1, Student Government Executive Council President's Report. Kayla.
Thank you. From the high school Wildcat Ambassadors toured over 400 8th grade students through the high school to view all of the special area electives. The Wildcat Ambassadors attended course selection meetings at the middle school with the guidance counselors to assist 8th grade students with using Skyward to select their elective courses for next year. Caitlin McLaughlin is receiving the Widener University High School Leadership Award for her contributions to promoting understanding and equality among students in our district. She will receive her award at the National Constitution Center on February 19th at 8 a.m. High school world language students will be teaching French, German, Latin, and Spanish to students at West Vincent Elementary School. It is a wonderful opportunity for high school students to learn what is involved with teaching and classroom management, and the elementary schools enjoy learning from the older students. The Leo Club will be conducting a children's book drive from February 4th to the 13th with a goal of collecting 1,500 books. Preparations are underway for Owen J. Roberts High School to host the PMEA District 12 Choir Festival from February 7th to 9th. Guest director Mr. Sidney Gulham, a world-renowned composer from Los Angeles who was born in Haiti. Students representing Owen J. Roberts High School at this festival are Saren Tosha, Megan O'Connor, Zach Matarazzo, Rachel Blumker, Elliot Bennett, Michael Steyer, and Amanda Ficca. Seussical the Musical is currently in production. Shows will be Friday, March 15th, 2013 at 7 p.m., Saturday, March 16th, 2013 at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m., and Sunday, March 17th, 2013 at 2 p.m. The character breakfast will be held on Saturday, March 2nd, 2013 at the middle school. There are 2 seatings, 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Tickets are $5 for students and $10 for adults. Reservations can be made by calling 610-469-5341 or suesbreakfast@gmail.com. The breakfast is being coordinated through the professional event planning skills of OJR alumna Emily Haverkamp. The 7-Ups have been invited by ABC Studios to be recorded vocalists and feature performers in the National Cherry Blossom Parade in Washington, D.C. on April 12th through 13th, 2013. Sarah Hume, the freshman class director, has decided to start the first annual mini-thon with the help of many other students, including some members of student council. The mini-thon is an entirely student-run dance marathon to be held overnight from Friday, March 22nd at 7 p.m. to Saturday, March 23rd at 7 a.m. All money raised will benefit the Four Diamonds Fund, which covers medical expenses for families with children diagnosed with cancer and funds for pediatric cancer research. From East Coventry hosted their science showcase in January with over 140 projects. Several winners were selected and will go on to the county level. Recent staff development has focused on building capacity through peer observations. Through the work of the academic coach, teachers are visiting other classrooms in the building to observe guided reading instruction and take those best practices back to their own classrooms. With the support of several central office staff members, the building revisited many of the safety procedures and implemented a few changes. In February, East Coventry will host the first ever country line dancing for families as well as our first ever movie night. PTA is sponsoring the first ever popular pizza bingo night. More specific information on all upcoming events is available on the school's website. From East Vincent, on Saturday, 8 of East Vincent Elementary School 5th and 6th graders participated in the first state LEGO League Champions Tournament, one of the largest single-day robotics competitions in the world. Being invited to participate in this event is a high honor. This year, one team traveled all the way from Singapore to participate. The East Vincent team, the Leonardo da Vinci's, had a great day. They earned an astonishing high score of 390 points in the robot game. Additionally, they received an award for innovative robotic design and strategy. The intramural programs at East Vincent have been extremely well attended, and numerous students are serving the school and community through their participation in Student Council, K-Kids, Lion Club, and the Safety Patrol programs. From French Creek students and staff make a difference all year long. The school continues to collect non-perishable items for the North Coventry Food Bank. This month they are collecting peanut butter, jelly, canned pasta, and bottled drinks. So far this year, French Creek has donated over 620 items. French Creek will be hosting Pizza and Bingo Night on Friday, February 1st. Please visit the French Creek PTA website for additional information. French Creek will also be hosting their annual French Creek Stars Talent Show on February 22nd from 6 to 9 p.m. Everyone is cordially invited, as this event is sure to be a big hit. From North Coventry, the North Coventry School-Wide Behavior Support Task Force held a school-wide assembly program this week to continue to reinforce the importance of students respecting themselves, others, the school, and the environment. This month, North Coventry teachers have participated in professional development on co-teaching, the Common Core, open-ended responses, and writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kayla. It is always challenging to follow the Leonardo da Vinci Club, but I'll do my best. 4.2, Superintendent's Report. Some important announcements regarding school safety and security. We all are certainly aware of the tragic events that took place in Connecticut last month, and all school districts are questioning and reevaluating as well as assessing their safety plans. I'm happy to report that in O&J Roberts we have a comprehensive crisis plan already in place. But any district that doesn't take the time to reassess it after such a tragic event would be mistaken. During this month, we've performed multiple walkthroughs and security assessments in all of our buildings. We've made modifications and improvements to our crisis planning. In addition to that, on Thursday evening, the 31st, O&J Roberts is hosting the Chester County School Safety Summit. We will have local police officials, state police officials, local dignitaries, school board members, administrators, and the like, all meeting here on Thursday night to review not only what it is to be safe in school, but to ask questions so that we can prepare to be a safe haven for all of our students and families. No plan is perfect. It needs to be flexible. There needs to be strong communication, and we have strong processes in place in O&J Roberts. Processes that include more than just monthly fire drills. We practice regular evacuation drills. We practice lockdown drills. We practice reverse evacuation drills in case we would need to bring students in during recess into the safety of the school. We certainly also practice weather emergency drills and radiological drills. Most recently, we had a meeting with the local police officials, and Mr. Chief Malger led all the administrators through a tabletop exercise where we put a scenario together and practiced how we would handle that situation. We do all this in the hopes that we never have to implement it, but being prepared is essential in this environment. So I want to thank all of our teachers, administrators, and families for their patience during this, and also being vigilant to make sure that we create a safe environment for all of our students. Item 4.3, School Director. This is School Director Recognition Month. Whereas the role of locally elected school officials has served the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and local communities in meeting the needs of public education since the passage of the Free School Act in 1834. And whereas these local boards have discharged their responsibilities to public education in a manner which has placed public education in the forefront of our educational systems. And whereas locally elected officials have distinguished themselves and their communities in this non-paid, voluntary public service commitment. And whereas the contributions of these men and women should be recognized and appreciated by those who benefit from the workings of our public school systems. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Pennsylvania School Boards Association hereby proclaims the month of January as School Director Recognition Month in this Commonwealth. And further resolve that this proclamation be communicated to all school districts, school officials, and local communities in a planned program which brings visibility and awareness of the role of locally elected school officials to the citizenry of this Commonwealth. I'd like to take a moment to thank each of you for volunteering your time to serve this community and this school district and its children as a school director. We have certificates for each of you from PSBA, and great debt of gratitude. Thank you. Item 4.4, recognitions. Congratulations to Emily Morgan and Juliana Provini for being selected to represent Owen J. Roberts on the Pac-10 All-State Soccer Team. Dr. Marchini, would you come forward? I believe Emily Morgan is here with us this evening. I think Juliana had practice. Emily, are you in the audience? I think Emily had practice too. Dr. Marchini, great job. We'll get their pictures tomorrow. Thank you. Congratulations to North Coventry art teacher Tom Sonnenberg, who was inducted into the 3E Institute Educator 500 program at Westchester University. Mr. Sonnenberg was nominated by Dr. Susan Lloyd for his collaboration with the Owen J. Friends of the Arts, the North Coventry PTA, and former OJR graduate Scott Oysel. Together, Tom and Scott worked with students to etch conservation messages on copper leaves for kinetic water sculpture of flowers that will open when it rains. Students learned the importance of preserving nature through art as well as the hydro energy. Dr. Lloyd? Mr. Sonnenberg?
Thank you. I don't believe Mr. Sonnenberg is here with us this evening. He travels to North Coventry from Conshohocken every day. As you heard Dr. Christian say, that Mr. Sonnenberg this past fall was recognized by the 3E Institute of Westchester University as an Educator 500. Inspired by the Forbes 500 list of business entrepreneurs, the Educator 500 are educational entrepreneurs, teachers like yourself who believe all children can succeed and who work with business and community partners to seek educational opportunities to prepare students for work, community service, leadership in the future. To date, the 3E Institute has identified 396 Educator 500. Mr. Sonnenberg was selected for this recognition for the kinetic water sculpture that he and local artist and OJR grad, Scott Oysel, worked with North Coventry students to create. The sculpture will be in the shape of a flower, and you can see the artist rendition. You can see it later. The petals of the flower will open when it rains, using the weight of rainwater to move pulleys inside the stems of the flower. Here's the sketch. You can look at those details too later. Students at North Coventry worked with Mr. Sonnenberg and Scott Ojrsd to not only learn about the science behind the kinetic sculpture, but to also make word mosaics related to caring for the environment, and I believe the board is getting a chance to see that mosaic. Chosen mosaics were then etched into the copper surface of the petal that will form the sculpture's flowers. The sculpture is scheduled to be completed this spring and installed in the school's courtyard. This unique entrepreneurial project was funded by our community partners, the O.J. Roberts Friends of the Arts, and the North Coventry PTA. All this that I just described is why Mr. Sonnenberg was selected as an Educator 500 by the Westchester University 3E Institute, and why the O.J. Roberts School Board is honoring him this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lloyd. Next, we have the High School Art Club and Art Department, who would like to recognize and thank the Friends of the Arts for their generous support of the high school art field trips.
Good evening. Good evening. The O.J. Roberts High School Art Department and students in the Art Department would like to thank Friends of the Arts. They are a unique organization. Not many high schools and not many school districts have the opportunity to have a community service group that provides so much support for the arts in the elementary, middle school, and high school environment. We have a quick slideshow that the kids put together just to show you what's happening in the high school, what Friends of the Arts has helped us accomplish, and the artwork around the room in the front and the back. Please take a look. That is work that has been accomplished from September to December this year. Okay, so enjoy.
inspired me to explore different techniques and helped to push me forward to accomplish what I wanted to do with my own artwork. The Van Gogh exhibit is the inspiration for my senior AP art concentration. After seeing Van Gogh's use of color and emotion, I was able to solidify my own concentration statement. Reading on Caminati taught me how to appreciate the human form and how to draw it from life. It forced me to observe the inherent art in people.
From the students to the Friends of the Arts District, we just truly want to thank you for all the support and the funding and all your generous time and effort that you put into making our art experience a truly unique one that is very difficult to find outside of the O&J District. So we just really want to thank you for giving us that opportunity.
Thank you. One final recognition. At this time, the board and I would like to recognize Mr. William Kleinfelter for his service to the Owen J. Roberts School District Board of School Directors as president this past year. Mr. Kleinfelter? Mr. Hughes?
Thank you, Dr. Christian. Let's move to item 5.1, public comment on agenda items. Information, proposals, and statements from individuals or delegations pertaining to items on the agenda. Speakers are to indicate your name, township of residence, and the items on the agenda which your comments are addressed. Speakers will be limited to not more than 3 minutes. Item 6.1, appointment of board members to standing committees and school board representatives by the school board president. We need a motion, right? Mr. Carmine, this is a motion or just a? So we need a motion for this? Okay. All right. As presented, thank you. Item 7.1, Committee of the Whole. The meeting of the Committee of the Whole was held, Board Committee Reports, Committee of the Whole was held on January 14th, 2013 at 7 p.m. in the Administrative Building, the boardroom. The following committees met at that time: Legislative and Policy Committee, and the minutes are attached to the agenda. 7.2, Building and Grounds Committee. Mr. Kleinfelder.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. At this time, I have no report. The first Buildings and Grounds meeting of 2013 will be held February 4th, 2013 at 6 p.m. in the Administration Building boardroom. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Barkas. 7.3, Chester County Intermediate Unit.
The Chester County Immediate Unit Board of Directors held its monthly meeting on January 16, 2013 at the Educational Service Center in Downingtown. The following items were discussed and acted upon. Herbine and Company presented an overview of the 2011-2012 audit reports for the CCIU. The CCIU received an unqualified audit, which is the highest possible score. We received a presentation overview of a supplemental program for at-risk students, the 21st Century Community Learning Center, the Family Literacy Program, and Migrant Education Program. The CCIU Board of Directors approved and reviewed the following new business: planning and initiatives of the Mobile Computing Technologies, which is a new career at the Technical Education Program for the 2013-2014 school year at the Technical College High School Pickering campus, which is the one that serves our district. We also had a first reading of the Brandywine Virtual Academy Student Handbook, and we had a first reading of Policy 913.2 regarding commercial advertising. The next CCIU Board Directors meeting will be held on Wednesday, February 20th at 8 p.m. at the Educational Service Center in Downingtown. And that concludes my report. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Barkas. 7.4, Curriculum and Instruction Committee.
I have no report at this time.
7.5, Extracurricular and Interscholastic Activities Committee. Mrs. DeLulia.
No report at this time.
Thank you. 7.6, Finance Committee. Mr. Freeze.
No report this time, Mr. President.
7.7, Legislative and Policy Committee. Mr. Elkoff is not present, but his meeting was at the Cal meeting. 7.8, Personnel Committee. Mr. Stone.
No report at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. 7.9, People Services. Mrs. Ettinger.
No report this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ettinger. 7.10, Technology Committee. Mr. Kleinfelder.
No report at this time.
Thank you. 7.11, Transportation Committee. Mrs. Wolf.
Yes. The members of the Transportation Committee are Renee DeLulo, James Freeze, and Pamela Wolf. I met with Mrs. Crumrine, who is the Administrative Liaison for Transportation, on Tuesday, January 22nd, just to discuss the details of transportation for the Owen J. Roberts School District. And we discussed myriad issues, some of which included the total number of district buses, the total daily miles traveled by our buses, then transportation budget. And those who would like to learn more about transportation may access the School Board Policy 810, which governs student transportation. And I've emailed information to each board member regarding my January 22nd meeting, and I shall continue to keep you updated throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wolf. Item 8.
Excuse me. I also have a report on the ad hoc committee.
Okay.
Is that okay now?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Hughes assigned me as chairman to an ad hoc committee to study the committee system, and we've been lovingly referring to it as the committee. The members of the ad hoc committee to study our committee system are Chris Barkas, Renee DeLullo, and Pamela Wolf. On Friday, January 18th, I met with Dr. Christian to begin preliminary discussions about our current committee system, as well as to develop plans for the finalization of a future committee structure. All board members received a survey requesting individual preferences, opinions, and input in regard to an efficient, productive, and optimal committee system. The ad hoc committee will meet with Dr. Christian on Friday, February 1st, when we shall review the compiled results of the surveys, create a template for a committee structure, and finalize the best committee system for our board of directors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wolf. Item 8.1, motion to approve recommended routine matters, 8.2 through 8.14.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kleinfelder, second by Mr. Freeze. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.1, motion to approve routine matters. Consent items 9.2 through 9.5.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Freeze, second by Mr. Kleinfelder. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 10, board communication. Mrs. Krumrine. For any board communication?
Yes, Mr. President. I have one board communication from the North Coventry PTA. They would like to extend their appreciation to the school board and the task force with regard to hiring Dr. Christian. They realize what a monumental task this is, and they appreciate the sacrifice and the time spent on ensuring that the O&J Roberts School District retained an outstanding superintendent in Dr. Christian.
Mrs.
That's
Krumrine?
all.
Thank you. Item 11.1, board discussion.
Is this for the public sequester? I think Pam was.
Any discussion items this evening? You certainly, if you'd like to discuss it. Okay. Mr. Kleinfelder?
No, we got an email from Mr. Lakoff today, who's down in Washington, D.C., meeting with other, I guess, school representatives throughout the country. And one of the things that he asked us to think about tonight, or keep in the back of mind, is there is still the possibility of, with the budget of sequester, and as we do our finances for the as we're in the budget process, we need to take that into consideration and make sure that, if we're going to lose federal funding, that we take that into account as we go through our budget process.
Thank you, Mr. Kleinfelder. Any other discussion items? Item 12.1, old business. There is none. Item 13.1, motion to approve personnel matters, items 13.2 through 13.10.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kleinfelder, second by Mrs. Barkas. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I'd like to discuss 13.9. I was very happy to see that we now have some Odyssey of the Mind coaches out there, and that all of our elementary schools have the same equity now with Odyssey of the Mind. So I want to thank the teachers that stepped up and really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeze. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.1, approval of policies. Approval for the following policies. The second reading is recommended by the Legislative and Policy Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kleinfelder, second by Mrs. Barkus. All those in favor, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval, or 14.2, approval to eliminate policies.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Kleinfelder, second by Mrs. Barkus. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.3, approval of the start date for the 2013-2014 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Barkus, second by Mr. Stone. Any discussion?
I just do have one comment. There is a House bill, I believe it's House Bill 75, that is up. It's usually introduced every year by the Tourism Committee that would prevent schools from starting before Labor Day. So that's just something, I mean, it doesn't affect us this year, but it's something we have to keep in mind as we move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Kleinfelder. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.4, approval of the reaffirmation of the local board procedures, board governance, standards, and code of conduct.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kleinfelder, seconded by Mr. Stone. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 14.5, approval to grant administration permission to apply for state, federal, and local grants for the 2013-2014 fiscal year.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Barkus, seconded by Mrs. Ettinger. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.6, approval of the accelerated budget opt-out resolution certifying tax rate within the inflation index.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Freeze, seconded by Mr. Stone. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say nay. Motion passes. Item 14.7, approval to establish a student activity account.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kleinfelder, seconded by Mr. Stone. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 14.8, approval of the student activity clubs and organizations approvals.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Barkus, seconded by Mr. Kleinfelder. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 14.9, approval and ratification of the out-of-state overnight student trips.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Barkus, seconded by Mrs. Ettinger. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.10, ratification for homebound students.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kleinfelder, seconded by Mrs. Ettinger. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.11, approval of conference attendance.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Barkus, seconded by Mrs. Ettinger. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.12, approval of board conference attendance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Kleinfelder, seconded by Mr. Stone. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 14.13, approval of approval of land lease agreements.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Freeze, seconded by Mrs. Barkus. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. This brings us to item 15.1, public comment. Information, proposals, and statements and/or questions from individuals or delegations pertaining to any item. Speakers are to indicate their name, township of residence, and speakers will be limited to not more than 3 minutes.
Good evening, members of the board. is Steve Rod. I'm speaking on behalf of the REA. Teachers of this school district have been working without a contract since July 1st. Teachers have committed their lives to this district and the students of this community. Every day, teachers go far beyond their contractual obligations and work with our kids to give them the best educational experience we can provide. We support their cognitive, social, physical, and emotional development. Teachers remain fully committed to this charge while enduring the previous dysfunctional school board. We remain true to our calling despite having 6 superintendents in 4 years. We continued our professional commitment despite the disruption caused by 3 building projects. We cooperated with the district and made concessions to make the transition to the middle school easier. And all of this occurred during the length of our now expired contract. In the midst of all that turmoil, our teachers accepted multiple salary concessions despite other local districts providing their teachers improvements. Our teachers helped this district not only survive, but thrive during this difficult period. As a result of that commitment by the REA and the concessions we made, we now fall well behind our neighboring districts in various comparisons. For example, teachers in this district are provided a veteran's master's degree pay rate that falls well below our Chester County and Pioneer Conference colleagues in the following districts: Avon Grove, Boyertown, the Chester County IU, Cokesville, Downingtown, Great Valley, Kennett, Methacton, Octorara, Oxford, Perkiomen Valley, Phoenixville, Pottsgrove, Pottstown, Springford, TE, Unionville, Chadsford, Westchester, and our neighbors outside Chester County in the Pioneer Conference, Daniel Boone, and Twin Valley. And just as significant, our overall health care package is worse than almost every district in this entire state. Despite that, the children and teachers in our district have been the recipients of many county-wide, state, and national awards and accolades. Odyssey of the Mind, advanced placement courses, standardized test performance, graduation rates, college attendance rates, and many other measures indicate Ojrsd Roberts is a highly performing district. In addition, our kids benefit from a long list of both paid and unpaid extracurricular activities. And of course, Ojrsd has many Pac-10 championships. Time and time again, the teachers of this district have demonstrated their commitment to the children here. The REA recognizes the economic difficulties facing many members of this community. However, this district is financially sound. Our proposals to the district reflect both of these realities and, as such, include several cost-saving measures. As teachers, we appreciate the periodic verbal recognition, but we ask the board no longer allow us to be the last in our contract while we continue to provide excellence for our kids. Tonight, we ask the board to provide us a contract which demonstrates as much respect for us as we have shown for this community.
Mr. Rott and the members of the REA, thank you for your comments this evening. Both parties have made significant progress on a number of outstanding issues that have been on the table since January 2012. I know it's been a difficult process. A number of tentative agreements exist. Like many contracts in this region, compensation and health care do remain on the table, as you mentioned, as significant issues for both parties. Due to the index and the current economic climate, both parties will continue to discuss a sustainable and fair contract. Multiple bargaining sessions are scheduled for the coming weeks, and the board will be confident in a fair settlement that ultimately will result from these discussions. Thank you for your comments and for your attendance this evening. That takes us to item 16.1, board requests for information. (17.1) motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Kleinfelder, second by Mr. Stone. Thank you.